good morning, Tom.
Good morning, Paul.
How's it going today?
I'm savoring a bad mood.
I haven't heard that. That's a good one. I'm sorry. Hope it passes.
Well, you need the darken to make sure that the light feels like it's light. It's just another flavor of the day, but I like it sometimes. Makes me appreciate the good times, right?
Absolutely. Gotta
Yeah.
have some contrast. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, how's your week been in general?
It's been really busy. It's been really, really busy, and very good in a good way. We're privileged.
Mm-hmm.
We have so much opportunity here. We can gather when we want, and we can open a business and not be threatened by so many things. So I'm grateful. And I was thinking this morning as I was trying to give this ugly mug a little shave, and just kind of trying to think about what I'm doing here with Pro Shop.
Mm-hmm.
And the thought occurred to me that you didn't make software, that you really made business, and you're using software to reflect it, and it's incredibly useful. But I was wondering why I was struggling with doing this and learning it. And it occurred to me that the reason why I was mentally struggling with this is because I've been doing what I've been doing for more than 20 years, and no one ever asked me to codify it.
Oh.
And it occurred to me that Pro Shop is simply a matter of locating the buckets in which all the information that I've accumulated over 25 years exists. And all you have to do is find the bucket that it exists. And then once you find it, it's actually kind of exciting that I no longer have to be in charge of all this information that I've accumulated. And when my sons or the next employees come along, they have the business, because this is the business. It doesn't have to exist within me. And one of the reasons why I like this is because ideally, I want to make myself obsolete.
Absolutely, you do. That's the goal. Yes. Yeah.
So to this week's been I spent a lot of time on Pro Shop just figuring out how to do what I have always done. And it's been pretty exciting to do that. I've learned some new skills this week in quoting.
Mm-hmm.
Quoting an assembly that has a number of manufactured parts and an outside service like oxidizing, and then a small brazing operation and so forth. It's been very interesting on how this codifies the process and makes the costing of this meaningful. I come up with a cost in my head. I know what the market will bear, and blah, blah, blah. And I'll put that down on a quote and shoot it out, and the customer will buy it. And at the end of the day, we might make a fair profit. But looking at this and the details and how it's broken down, and the number of hours accumulated to each little part, and the costs associated with this part, it's so important that this is now a business and not a gut. Not that the gut's bad.
Yeah, you can check your gut, against the numbers to see if I quoted at this rate, this will make a margin, or I know it won't, or
right. I have a customer who's really pressing me on my cost, and after reviewing my details on what the materials are going to be and the hours that are putting into it, I'm just looking at it now. I'm already below what I need to be. And I know that that's a competitive price. So you can ask for anything you want as long as no is an okay answer.
That's right. That's a good. You're full of good quotes. Yeah, 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 and yeah. I mean, he may be just be feeling you out, trying to, or he may be in a situation where he needs that, and it may not be a good fit for you. So who knows?
Well, it's not a big amount, and it might be something that he needs because he's not asking for very much.
Okay,
And so it might be a political decision more
right.
than anything else. So,
And sometimes
yeah.
you decide to do
But
that
having,
for the sake of the relationship or helping them out,
mhm.
right?
But it's no longer just, yeah, I like you, so I'll give you your number.
Right.
It now has to do with, well, what does that mean to my business?
Sure. Sure.
And
Yeah,
that makes it different.
that's an interesting point, and it makes me think of a feature that we built many years ago. So we would do the same thing. Sometimes we would decide for business reasons, for strategic reasons, that we were going to take a job that we knew we would lose money on,
Mhm.
right? And sometimes when other people, maybe I decided that in the sales department, and I talked to, and I know what I'm doing, right? But maybe other people in the team don't realize that I made that decision. So when they see the price and they're like, we're going to lose our shorts on this, or when the job is done and they go to look at the profit and it's negative, they're freaking out and coming to me and saying, what's going on? Why'd you do this?
Mhm.
So we built a feature right into ProShop, and I'll show it to you in your system, where it says, where for the work order, you can check a box that says taken at a loss.
I have seen that box.
Seen that box?
I've studiously avoided it.
But sometimes that's the best thing to do in business, is to take a job at a loss, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, the classic example is you get the opportunity for a big contract, right? And it's 1,000 parts over the year, but they're not willing to pay any of your non-recurring setup expenses, right? Programming and fixturing. They're just not willing. So you decide that you're going to make that investment. You're going to pay out of your own pocket for your programming and buying the material for fixtures and doing all that, and that might cost you $2,000 or $3,000 that you're not going to, so that first order is going to be a loss. But then after that, it's going to be a gravy job and you're going to, love it. So it's definitely a good thing to do.
One of the things that I found out, it's funny that you should mention that. In our first episode, we talked about how I came into this business and the unfortunate demise of the previous owner and so forth. And there was very, very little paperwork here, but the paperwork that was here on one particular job showed me that his processes, I don't care how often he did that job, he was going to lose money. It wasn't going to be something that he was ever going to be able to make it up.
Right.
But by changing the process and putting it in ProShop and looking at what he was doing, and then seeing, well, that's never going to work ever, and changing the processes around, making the investment in a piece of equipment, maybe I get a chance to show you later, but changing that process around made the job at the same cost profitable. And I would not have known that had it not forced me to examine not just here's how much the material is and here's how much time it's going to take, but what assets am I allocating toward that?
Yeah.
And make an investment in something that, if I did it this way, it'll work. So
That's cool.
Anyway,
nice.
It is all very cool. I'm not the fastest learner on software and so forth. And I just, anybody who may be watching this in the future, if you're not, if you're not a Paul Van Meter in software and learning computer programs, and you're more of a Tom Ruggie, don't let that scare you away, because it is detailed and it is a bit complex. But the result that you're going to get out of this is going to more than pay for itself. And it has for me, because I was skeptical about even taking that job that the previous guy was doing, because I could see there was no way he was going to be able to make a profit, even if he did it for a year.
Right.
So,
interesting.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. So what do we want to do today?
Well, I know we're going to get a shop tour, I believe, right?
Sure.
because you're on your phone. I can see that. So I'll share my screen in your system, and we'll just take a quick peek at one of these estimates you've been working on, because you said you're working on an assembly estimate, right?
I am. It's my
So,
first crack at one of these. I haven't gotten very far, but
so let me pull up here, and we'll take a look at this guy. So you're seeing that on your phone? So this is
I am, and I'm following you. I'm following along with you on
the
screen
computer
as
too.
well.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, so tell us about it. This is it's called a nose piece assembly.
That's right. It's a nose piece assembly that consists of a main part that holds two jaws, and on top of it has a pressure plate, a center spring. There's a dowel pin that is necessary for the assembly, and then a brazed center pin that goes against that dowel pin.
Okay.
So, and then it gets black oxided when it's all done. It's made out of A2, and they have different series nose pieces. This is a 10 series.
Okay.
So they get smaller and they get bigger, but this is their bread and butter. And so yeah, that's what we're building.
So it looks like you're just quoting a single piece right now. Is this like a prototype that might turn into a production?
What it is they're deciding whether or not having these made outside. They have a manual machinist in-house that is making this. So they want to see what they're going to get if they turn this over to an outside CNC process. And what we're doing is, yeah, we are prototyping this, but hopefully this is going to become a production run for us.
So here on this upper level, we can see here we're just doing assembly, final inspect, ship, and invoice. That's basically what's happening here, right?
That is for the whole assembly.
Yeah, that's for the assembly, and then the subcomponents are going to be outlined on this little bomb icon, right? This clipboard here.
Yeah.
So if we click on that, that takes us into the BOM. And it looks like you've built one estimate here on this this YK10 piece.
Right.
And then what we see here on these other ones, these little plus buttons next to them, that allows us to just mouse over those and get our menu for your template system in the estimating, right? So if you have some templates for, let's say it's hard metals, because you said it's made out of A2, right? And maybe it's 2 operations, or maybe it's 3 or 4, or has outside processing or whatever, right? These are and it looks like these are kind of the default ones that we've shipped with, and you still need to go through and and Michael will help you tailor those to your specific, types of parts and machines and so forth. But yeah, when you just hit copy, for this template, it will inherit the quantities, right, that you're quoting at the upper level, multiplied through by the quantity per unit, which is 1. So, but if there was, if you're quoting a quantity of 1 and 10, say at the upper level, and this was 2 per, then when you copy the template, then it would automatically make that estimate for 2 and 20, right? It would multiply the 2 by the upper level quantities. And the key to making, quoting an assembly like this really quick is to have those templates that already have as much of the detail filled in as possible. So for example, sometimes we see people putting in templates for a really simple part, or a medium or a high complexity part, and with the correct number of operations, right? Maybe it's a 2-op part and it has black oxide. So if you do a lot of parts that have black oxide, you could have that black oxide already in your template with your default minimum lot charges, and all the mil specs or whatever else goes with that material, with that process. And then maybe you already have some default setup times. Maybe it's like minimum of an hour to just get something in the machine, get everything dialed in, get your tools in. So you could already have that 1 hour of setup time in your template, and you could tweak it if this is, I think it's 90 minutes or 30 minutes or whatever it might be. And then you're just really focused on your cycle times, right? So, and I did, I did the estimating in our shop for many years, and when we built this template, capability, and we really dialed those in, I mean, this has, you got 6 different parts here, right? Plus the upper level.
Right.
And by the way, you can import this. If you had an Excel spreadsheet with this BOM, you could just import that using the CSV tool. So you don't have to type that stuff in. If your customer sends you a spreadsheet with your BOM, just,
go to launch CSV.
Yep.
Very nice.
But anyway, my point being that, if you know reasonably well, what your cycle times are going to be, you could look at it and say, oh, that's a 10-minute part, that's a 20-minute part, that's a 5-minute part. You can, and if, like, on this small quantity, if you're looking at like minimum material costs, right? This is just $20 for this chunk of material or whatever that might be. You can go through using these templates once they're dialed in and spawn off each of these sub items, probably spend no more than 2 to 3 minutes filling in the details, and then go to the next one. So you could quote an entire assembly, and then ProShop will automatically roll all those costs up to the upper level. You could have this whole thing done in 20 minutes, right? Once you're, once you really, are proficient with, using everything.
Right.
So.
Well, that's the investment that I'm making now in terms of the time, is going through these. And while I honestly wasn't aware of the sort of level of automation that you're discussing right now, because I just got started with this.
Yeah.
Knowing that process exists is what makes a little shop like me competitive in the long term. That's what this is about.
Yeah.
So I'm very glad to hear about that.
Yeah, we had a customer. They were actually in Australia, a little bigger than you, but not a ton. And they were just a piece part maker, right? They made components. But after they got ProShop, it gave them the level of comfort to, both quote bigger jobs and assemblies, and then manage them, make sure everything is going to come together. And that just really opened up for them their confidence to quote much more complex work, and it really evolved their whole company into a company that made big assemblies and did more value-added stuff for their clients, and they were no longer just a component maker. They were like a contract manufacturer of assemblies. So hopefully,
well, I mean, isn't that the mission? Really, isn't that the mission of ProShop? And anytime you purchase an asset like software like this, it's to develop your company into the most capabilities that it can handle.
Yeah, that you want to do, right? If you want to get into that kind of stuff.
That's right.
Cool. Well, I'm going to stop sharing here.
All right.
And but are we ready to get a shop tour?
If you like, it's a humble shop.
Oh, that's all right. You got to. Every shop starts somewhere. When we started our shop, we had one machine. It was a Haas VF4. And so, yeah, let's check it out.
Well, I'm in my office, and in the office is something I want to give a plug to. Down here on the floor, can you see that computer down there?
Yep, I can.
Next to the Titan box.
Oh yeah.
That's a solid box workstation. The nice thing about the solid box is it has error correction memory. So when you save a program, Justin has the confidence that all the ones and zeros in that program are going to be perfect. So it's something that very, very important for a small shop. We could lose a week worth of work because our computer crashed. This is our Kant's visual inspection machine. So we've got a part up here that's got 47 dimensions on it. And it takes, when we're inspecting all of these parts, we're doing 100% inspection on our parts. Put the part up there. It takes different pictures of it and comes out with all the dimensions and the tolerances that the customer gives us according to the print, and then tells us what the result is, so we can measure.
What kind of tolerances will that hold?
It'll hold to 4 decimal places if you want it to.
Wow, cool.
But
okay.
it takes a little bit longer to do that, about 5 or 6 seconds per part, per stage. So this is something that you might be interested in. Here's one of our workstations.
I like the background you have.
How about that? And so this goes to the VM3 mill.
Nice.
In which we've got a 4 and 5 axis TRT. This is a T5C.
Okay.
Sorry, T5C with orange vise here, and then we've got the ST10Y lathe here. Sorry about that picture. Let me get around this side. And then each one of our stations has a dual screen workstation with the computer and keyboard. And then behind me,
you have that on a stand off the workbench, so the keyboard's not on the workbench, right? Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Just
that's
mounted.
Awesome. That's awesome.
On a pole there, and then the wires tidied up in the back with the little Minix PC. I don't know if you can see that or not, but and then Justin's over here working on the VF2.
All right. Hey, Justin.
Hey, Justin. There's Justin with our new VF2 SSYT. And what I was telling you earlier about how we're doing this project more profitably is we put a little money in a 5th axis work holding station here. And now instead of doing a 1-up operation, now Justin's able to do 2-up plus the double vise in here. Right. Shuts the door, gets parts out each cycle. Thanks, Justin.
That's awesome. And are you starting with bar stock or pre-cut plate, or what are you starting with there?
Yeah, what we're doing is we've got a table over here with pre-cut bar stock.
Oh, nice.
So it comes in from our vendor this way, and then we do a first operation on some of it where we're cutting the dovetails in, holding it with the 5th axis.
Yeah.
And we'll put it over here to do that, and put it back on the VF2 for the final operations. But we've changed that. We've changed the dovetail to non-dovetail over here, and that's made a big difference in.
So you're doing the first prep right in the same machine.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, we used to do the dovetail, but we've taken that out of operation. And we've got our little ode to
flag
our,
and your
to our state and RX Industries. So this is pretty
beautiful.
much it.
That's awesome. That looks fantastic.
We've got a little kitchen area over here with the. Can you see the little?
Yeah.
Anytime we want to pop open a cold one there. So this is a bigger view.
Very cool. I like the floors too. It looks awesome. And the tape around the things showing where they go.
Little 5S action there.
Yeah, little 5S. That's cool.
We've only started. We've got a lot more to do.
How many machines do you figure you can stuff in there before you'd need to get a bigger space?
Well, this space right here is a something like a UMC 500 or 750.
Yep.
The floors here aren't quite sturdy enough. I would like to get a Mazak, but then I'd have to put a foundation here.
Yeah.
So what we probably would do is put a UMC there, operate for a year, and then we'll probably move out of this space to a standalone shop. That's in my 4-year program. So next year we hope to have that UMC sitting in that space, and then we'll go from there, right?
Awesome. That looks great.
So yeah, we've got a little in-process inspection table here.
Yeah.
And
excellent.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Well, I love your setup with the vise and the 5-axis. We had a term for that at Pro CNC, we called
Yeah.
that bar to box. And
Bar to box.
bar to box. We'd go from bar stock right into the box, finished parts in one cycle, right? No more batching, no more half done. You know, you have 500 half done parts sitting on a bench, you know, or a cart. None of that. There's either raw material or you have finished parts, and you can deliver partials sooner. You can catch quality problems sooner. You can keep your cosmetics going well. You know, that's fantastic. You're doing that.
With the ability to put parts that come right out of the mill onto the Keyence inspector in cycle. I mean, he can. It takes longer to make the part than it does to inspect it, and then it comes out with a QR code emailed just directly out of Pro Shop and into Pro Shop. All of our machines are networked in. It all works together with Pro Shop, and it's a beautiful thing.
That is really beautiful. I love what you're building there. That's awesome. Well, cool. Well, thanks for the shop tour. That was awesome. It's solid. That's a solid shop you got there. You should be proud.
Well, next time you're out here on the East Coast, please come see me.
You know, I will definitely do that. I'll absolutely do that. Well, awesome, Tom. Well, I'll let you get back to work. Thank you for your time today and all your thoughts. And have a good week, and we'll talk to you again next week.
Be well, Paul. Take care.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye.